All right, let's see what happens. This is the first time I'm actually trying to record a video this way. I learned how to use something, so let's see if I actually can pull this off today. So the point of today's exercise, I just kind of wanted to play around with the Mod Dwarf, and I got a few really cool settings going on, so, just a couple of synthesizer type things. So one is the piano, one is from their JX, and another is sort of like a string thing. So back to the piano for the second. All right. At any rate, by the way, that's an MPC-1 MIDI controller to the side of me. I have a few different things that I might utilize, but that's kind of irrelevant for the moment. We're going to focus on the Mod Dwarf itself. So, as far as things go, basically, we're going to do a new pedal board. So, just kind of take everything away from there, and you see it's loading a new pedal board from scratch. I'm just going to pull that out for the second. So, I don't know. I noticed a couple of sort of best case ideas were just sort of kind of intuitive. I mean, for argument's sake, you could bring in your own MIDI clock if you wanted. I think that's pretty cool. And if anything, I might actually just not bother having it for now, because the point of what I want to do right now is focus on just what I might want to do when it comes to synths, what I might want to do when it comes to like some of these generators. The JX10 is pretty cool. Let's throw that there. Maybe we'll add in something too, like the noisemaker. And let's keep it simple for the second. So as you can see, these are basically plugins, is the language that Mod likes to use. So these are the audio cables, but we're not going to use those as an input. Instead, we're just going to go straight up MIDI in, MIDI in. We can send MIDI to both, but as far as tricks go, we can actually use a MIDI switcher, and you can see in the bottom here there are lots of different things. So I think we'll just use a just a quick switch box, nothing too crazy. So basically, if I drop this guy in there, we could actually take advantage of having a third thing to switch from. So let's reconnect the MIDI. Go there. Go there. We'll go there. I'm going to come back and add another synth because I just want to sort of highlight something pretty cool. If we go in here, we can actually assign to a foot switch if we want this to actually switch between the target ports. So I'm just going to save that there and then close this out. And you can't really see, but off camera, when I hit the foot switch, it actually switches between the three sequentially. So that's pretty cool. Just to put that out there as we build a patch. And then maybe we want to add something like Synth Pads, since we now have the room in the MIDI chain here. So let's let that hang out. I'm going to keep my life relatively simple here as far as patches go. I want to add in some reverb. I'm just going to put in a stereo plate reverb at the end. The only thing I want to do different, though, that I've noticed here, I'm just going to delete this gain thing at the end there. And I'm going to add it back. What I want to do is I want to add one for each of these. Helps me spell stereo right. That's cool. All right, so we're going to add 3 of these real quick. Just kind of like the idea of having some additional level control in there. And then we can put that so that now the reverb is going to the audio outs. We're just going to patch each of these little gain monsters here to the left and rights. Just like so. And connect that through. As you can see, it's relatively straightforward and simple from a patching perspective. Basically it makes sense, especially if you've used things like VCV rack, things like that. Alright, so we got a bunch of things here. So let's see what's cooking. That's the JX10. Pretty cool right from the start there. So you have a lot of different options here. I don't even know what I want here, so. Fretless bass. Yeah. Let's go to analog bass. Leave that be for now. I'm gonna lower the sustain, the release, and the decay. And I seem to have some stray MIDI messages going, but that's okay. The perks of having a rig that does what it wants sometimes. Now for the tall. See, that's coming through really low already. Let's try raising its volume. Cool. We're gonna do a different controller. Cool. So just to go into these settings, you got a lot of options here too. Sure. Let's leave that. And now let's go to the next one. I'm just going to make this a drop larger. Synth Pads. See, that's coming through a little too loud. We can bring the gain down a little bit there. Alright. Alright. Good enough. We can now go into here. Let's get a little more reverb going. And just take another tour of the sounds. Helps when I zoom back out, right? Pretty cool stuff. And somehow I actually cooked it up to a high CPU, but as you can see, when it's not being used, that patch drops right back down to 30.4, if not lower, hovering around 29. So go figure. This was a quick fun patch. I'm probably going to save it. It's just nice to finally learn some additional features. One little thing I'll throw in there is that it occurred to me the hard way that there are certain ways to do things. And when I say the hard way, it's because I made a boo-boo. I really didn't realize that there was an easier way to do something. And of course, now that I know, I think it's pretty darn cool. So for instance, let's add this little guy right here. If now we go to manage CV ports and we assign this by giving it a little check mark. Now if I go into here, it's level control. We'll just do it from the device. Knob 1 on page 1. Let me close that out. I'm physically turning the dial on the device so you see it's actually moving. But now what's really cool is you go in here and let's say that we actually want to change that attack, envelope attack. So now we can go into CV and it's this guy right here from our drop down. If we had multiples, you'd see more than one thing there. So now we've got that saved. I can just leave it be. And let's put that in motion. So there's the JX. Cool. As you can see, I'm turning the dial. We'll get the attack going all the way up. And what's super cool is that if I wanted, this right here could actually get assigned by a MIDI controller. So I happen to have also off screen a MIDI fighter that is wired through the MPC 1 to get routing. So even though you can't see that, I could basically say that this is probably my favorite controller. As you can see, that's like such quick, smooth encoder movement. But simply put, using that in conjunction, at any rate, pretty robust control. So, yeah, let's see how you all like this little test I did.